And we are live. What's good, y'all? It's your man Dale Saint. Welcome. I really want to know podcast, man. How y'all feeling? How's it going out there? Hope all is well. Looks like we are what is this? Monday. Wednesday. Happy hump day, guys. Happy hump day. I'm sitting here trying to do my thing, trying to find here it is. Happy hump day. I'm sitting here trying to here it is, just checking to see everything is okay. Everything seems to be okay, man. How y'all feeling out there? So we're gonna get two shows in today. I wanted to talk a little bit about some red pill stuff. It's a lot going on. I understand it's a lot going on. We got the Charlie Kirk thing. There's a lot of information coming out about, people trying to figure out what was going on in the mind of the shooter. There's a lot of information coming out. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit later this evening. But we're gonna start with some red pill stuff, because that's what we talk about over here, bro. So we got a podcast with Zuby and Joker from Better Bachelor, which I thought was really good. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. We're going to talk about that. And again, of course, we always got wise words from Rich Cooper. He did a quick little video that I think ties it in real good. We're going to do that. And, we're going to tackle any questions that you guys may have, man. So, hey, let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Some indeed, man. So appreciate y'all, man. Thanks for coming out. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, man. We managed to get over 2,200 subscribers. It's like we're still there. I always watch that, because for whatever reason, man, 2,200 was like that glass ceiling, bro. I just could not break through. Looks like we're growing. We made it through, but we'll see how long it stays there. People jump on and then they jump off, and they jump on and they jump off. And again, there's always conspiracy stuff to talk about, right? I'm here to tell you, man. I really think that YouTube has a problem with this particular platform. I think this platform landed on somebody's naughty list, and it's just a fight. Because I look at other platforms out there, 5,000 subscribers and less, and I looked at numbers they're doing. I look at their shows, look what's going on. I'm like, how come the algorithm is pushing that platform and not pushing mine? I've seen people who've just taken my content, not modified at all, just take it and then put it on their, put it on their platform and get better numbers than me. It was like, yo, what's going on? So I do believe there's a naughty list out there. I do believe I'm on it. And until a human takes a look at it, I don't think it's going to change unless you guys change it for them. So I appreciate you. That was just my tinfoil hat moment. But yeah, man, we're gonna talk about some red pill stuff, bro. I got some comments on the video we did. You guys remember the video when we had the guys, the blue pill dating coach was getting $10,000 an hour, working with women and stuff like that, working with men too. Does the Today Show? They bring him on. I guess he's a talking head for the Today Show. Got a comment on under that show. And it was, I assume it was a young brother. And it was a simple question. It's like, well, how do you date and have fun and not get hurt, or something along those lines? Like, how do you engage? How do you date and have fun and not get hurt? So, and this is probably somebody who comes from the mainstream plugged in beta world, the blue pill world, just asking questions. And that's what we want. I want to get guys who aren't over here already. I want to get the dudes who are not part of the Mano Swamp or the red pill to ask legit questions, man, so we could just, reach out and help them out. So, and I told the kid, I was like, listen, there's no easy way, man. You're going to have to just get in here and do it. And you're going to have some times when it's fun and amazing and you're going to love it. It's going to be just the greatest thing ever. And you're going to have times, while dating that it sucks. You're going to get your face cracked and get your heart broken. You're not going to understand what happened. It's going to hurt. That's just how it is. That's the dating game, guys. That's how it works. It's kind of like someone saying, hey, man, I want to play football, but I don't want to get dirty. Or I want to play baseball, but I don't want to hit the ball with a bat. It's like, bro, that's how the game is played. Those are the rules. and you're going to have to game yourself up and figure this out. And it's not that difficult, but it does take time. And I think that's what it was like. How can I do it where it doesn't take as much time and have fun? I think that's what the question was. Like, bro, it's going to take time. Womanizing, the dating game, figuring it out, and getting out here trying to find your significant other, it takes time. That's why the OGs tell dudes like, yo, man, it's best that you focus on yourself, do the work. Become the best version of yourself. Get to the finish line. And when you get to the finish line, there'll be plenty of women. Trust me. They're not lying. It's best to work on yourself. But, you're going to have to do the work at some point when it comes to, getting after these women. So my thing is, you come over here, man, I can show you the ropes, man. I can game you up as best I can. I can coach you up. But, you're going to have to do the hard work. You're going to have to do the heavy lifting. And then at the end of the day, it's going to have to make sense to you. So today's video, man, we're going to start off watching this interview. This is Joker from Better Bachelor and Zuby. And like Better Bachelor, what Joker is doing, I guess Joker's an OG, he's an old dude. He's a Gen X guy like myself. He's been out there. He's done the thing. And he understands that, from his point of view, where he is in his, his travels, he looks back and is like, bro, it really wasn't worth it. And this is what messed it up, which he gives a great perspective. A lot of times I would say that Joker is kind of a hybrid, kind of a guy who understands, like a MGTOW guy. Like I'm just going to sit down. I'm not going to participate in this. But he knows how to do it. He's played the game. He's had some success and he's had some failures. So he's not a black pill doom and gloomer guy. He's just telling you like, yeah, I know how to do it. I've done it. And if you want to try it, I suggest you do this. Right. So a lot of times I'll say that, Joker's over there close to the MGTOW world, but he's not full blown 100% gone his own way. Because a lot of those MGTOW guys, in my opinion, they just gave up. They didn't have any success. They gave up. They got their faces cracked too soon, or they didn't try the right techniques or whatever. They didn't get the results they were hoping for, and they just gave up right away. At least that's my take on the MGTOW guys. But then you have people like Joker who's like, yo, I did it. I climbed a mountain. I got to the top. Right. And I'm here to tell you, it's not that great up there. So I've come down the mountain and I'm not going to climb the next one. And if I do decide to climb another mountain, you know what I mean? I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. That's kind of how I look at Joker. But I can see why he's that way. I get it. I've been sitting down. I've called my own number. You know how in football, tap your helmet. I pull myself out the game and I'm sitting on the sidelines. I got other things I'm doing right now. I'm not really worried about chasing women and getting into that game again or whatever. I know how to do it. Right now, though, I'm choosing to do something else, right? Which is I'm focused on my daughter. My daughter, she's about to be 17. She's in high school. She's taking her first steps into this dating world, the sexual marketplace, and she's talking to little boys, and I'm sitting there trying to game her up and prepare her for what she's going to deal with down the road. So that's all part of it. That's all red pill too, guys. This whole red pill thing to me means you understand what's going on. Like you grasp the situation, you accept it, and then you move accordingly. So, women move the way they move, men move the way they move. It's all about human nature, and you have to study human nature, right? What does Sun Tzu say, man? Know yourself, know your enemy. Not calling the women the enemy, but know yourself, know your enemy. If anything, the enemy is the game itself. So know yourself, know the enemy. And who's the enemy? The game itself. So let's get into this, bro. This was really good. We're not going to get through the whole thing. The entire video is about an hour, 38 minutes or so. We'll probably get through we're going to try to get through the first 30 minutes or so, which is going to take us a while with all the stopping. Y'all know I like to stop and put my 2 cents in. But man, they really had a great conversation. Zuby and Joker, if you guys haven't already, please go over and subscribe to both of their channels and support what they're doing. They're doing good work. Joker's putting out a good message. He really is. And I understand it. And Zuby is just out here learning. Like Zuby's out here talking to everyone. He talks to people on the right, talks to people on the left, talks to blue pill folks, talks to red pill folks. He's living his own life. He's doing his thing. He always has really good interviews. So I like watching Zuby. So shout out to both of them brothers, man. Don DeMarco to these guys. And let's get into it. Again, don't forget, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, man. Send this to a friend just to help us grow, man. We're 2,200, man. Let's go to 3,300. Homie, let's keep it moving.
Want a traditional man, but they don't want to be a traditional woman. Man, not only did he lose a good chunk of his income in a divorce, but at 2 or 3 years old, he's finding out the children aren't even his, but the state still says you must pay child support for children that aren't biologically yours.
Facts.
It's chaos out there, and that's the whole point. If you really wanted a wife and kids, go find a place that the government can't support women. My unofficial name is Joker. I had been married and divorced, and both those divorces went pretty smoothly.
Did you say both divorces? So is that 2?
Yes. If an attorney advises a woman to state that he had been harmful, she can get full custody of the children. And if she gets full custody of the children, not only does she get more money from the man, but the government backs up the attorney by giving him extra money.
I'm sure there will be people who will be like confused by me even doing this podcast. They'll be like, hey, Zuby, you're married. Why would you have someone who's like not all super pro marriage?
60 to 70% of women are now identify as feminist and voting for left-wing things. It's complete societal breakdown on every level. And this is just one portion of it.
What's your goal or motivation in terms of the stuff that you put out there?
A couple of things. Number one, men stop paying for only fools content.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen?
Yo, that was a really good teaser, man. I don't know who does this editing, but they did a really good job. Like, and this is what the conversation is going to be about. They're going to stay in that pocket pretty much the whole thing. That part that Joker said about the attorney of women who convince their female client to convince the judge or tell the judge that the father is abusive and that's going to help them get, custody, which is true. That happens all the time. Here in America, family court, they call it liar's court. This is what the lawyers call it, liar's court. They know everyone is lying. So you have that. And then, like I said, we monetize children over here, which is absolutely evil. The more time that you can take away from the other parent, the more money you get from said parent. So, but then that part he said about the attorney getting paid through all this. I don't know about that part, about the state or the judge is able to enrich that attorney being the attorney of the female. I don't know if he dug down on that in the interview, but I don't know about that part. But it is what it is. That just kind of stuck with me. Like, I never heard that before. But I do know that a judge will make one party or the other pay for all the legal expenses. And that's normally the party with more money. That's the party, the non-custodial parent, which in most cases is the man. And you'll find yourself having to pay for your legal services, your lawyer, and paying for the other lawyer as well. And those lawyers will just run the bills up until you're broke. And you still got to pay child support on top of that. So like the whole system is horrific. Is it going to change? Yeah, it's going to change because women are starting to get caught up in this because women are becoming, higher earners and making their own money and having their own homes and having their own savings and retirement and financial holdings, real estate. Like I said, when you go into the family court system, the court doesn't care about your gender. They just want to know who has the money and so they can get that money. Because the court does get paid by the federal government for every child support order they write. They get a refund or some sort of kickback from the federal government to the tune, I think it's like 66% they get from the feds, from taxpayers. So it's a crazy system, guys. It's very crazy.
And boys and girls around the world, welcome back to the Real Talk with Zuby podcast. I'm very excited for today's conversation, and I am going to be talking to video creator and overall content creator, and this is Joker. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Thanks. Very, very happy to be here, man. Always wanted to talk to you.
Well, I know who you are, but for my listeners who are not familiar with you and the stuff that you put out there online, please introduce yourself.
my unofficial name, my nom de plume is Joker, a content creator on YouTube, Rumble, and on Locals for a channel called Better Bachelor. And it's been out there for about 5.5 years now, I think, just talking about, initially started about divorce rates and child custody and many of the issues that men had with marriage, divorce, and relationships later on, and then moving into talking about feminism and feminization of society and pushback against men and all the other things that seem to affect guys. So it kind of expanded over the years. And now I basically just keep up on the news and talk about issues I think other guys might want to know about.
Well, I'm curious because I've seen a lot of your stuff out there over the years, but I realized I don't really know much about your own story and how you got into this world. So what was it that led you to wanting to create the videos and put out the material that you do?
Well, I had reached my mid 40s, and I had been married and divorced, and no children. And both those divorces went pretty smoothly. I didn't lose half my assets. I didn't have really any assets at the time. I was still pretty young.
Sorry to jump in. Did you say both divorces? So is that two?
Yes, yeah, I did it once. You know, I was raised by a good family. My parents were kind of traditional people, and you know, my father raised me to say, or to be the type of guy to say, hey, if you love a woman, do the right thing, you know, get married and provide and be a good husband. And I fell in love, or what I thought was love, which wasn't quite the case as you get older and wiser. At 21 years old, that lasted about 6 months until she decided to leave me for a guy with a Ferrari and a much bigger bank account that was about 10 years older than we were. And then,
Joker, I thought Joker had been doing this way longer. Only 5 years. Wow, he's done really well in that time frame. You know, and then again, being raised by good folks, being, you know, Midwest, you know, get a little bit of that Disney fairy tale in there. Everything's gonna be fine. We're gonna, you know, ride off to the sunset. You know, I'm gonna slay the dragon and get the princess, all that kind of stuff. He was young. Now, remember, you know, over here what I say about marriage. Like if you're a guy and you don't really have much, like you're a dude and you know, you don't have a lot of financial holdings, you don't have a stock portfolio, you don't have a like mid to high 6-figure job, you don't have anything, right? And some woman wants to marry you, sure, get married. Get married. By all means, get married. It's not gonna hurt you. If it doesn't work, Joker got married twice. And he's like, yeah, both my divorces went easy. Why? There was nothing to take. The attorneys aren't going to be fighting to get anything from Joker. Like, oh, well, he doesn't have a pension. He's not locked into a long-term career, doesn't have any assets. Probably telling the lady, like, you're not going to get nothing. You guys don't have any kids. You weren't married long enough to talk about any kind of alimony. Just sign the papers and get done. You know what I mean? You guys are done. Like, the judge is not going to make him pay for your lawyer. Right? It's like, you can ask, but the judge's not going to do it. There's no money there. The court recognizes there's no money there. So they're not going to mess with that guy. They're not going to mess with the dude who's a brokey. So that's one of the benefits of being a brokey, right? So, you know, if you don't have anything and you're not trying to have anything, then by all means, get married. By all means. And if it doesn't work out, you're going to be heartbroken, right? But you're not going to be destroyed. You're not going to be ripped in half financially. We got brother Carlos in the building. What's good, fam? Like, no incentive for high value men to get married here in the USA, period. I got too much to lose even to think about marrying. I don't trust prenups. I feel you, bro. I feel you. Prenups, though, if you're going to get married and you have something to lose, please get yourself a prenup. Try to get the best you can, but you're right, a judge can throw that out. Judge can state that, oh, the woman was under duress. When she signed that, she wasn't in the right mental state. We're going to throw that out. Now you're back to square one, and they're going to rip you in half financially. Brother Mandrell's in the building. What's good? So yeah, you got to think about that. If you have stuff, then you really need to think about getting married. Like, why would you do that in America? And you know, that message is getting out there. More and more people are heeding that message. Men and women, by the way.
And the second time I did it, it was to a professor, a biologist, someone that was intelligent. And I missed the warning signs of the feminism and the other things. And she decided she loved work more than me, and that my outlook on relationships and men and child deletion, I guess baby deletion we'll call it, and some other things weren't progressive enough. And she said I wasn't the right guy for her. So things started falling apart there, to the point where I eventually left, because I realized there's no way I'm going to stay married to this person for the rest of my life. And she had no problems just insulting me and making my life a living hell. So I just decided to pack up and leave. And that was around the age of 35. And then, I just did my own thing and was kind of doing the bachelor thing and casually.
And I recently had a conversation with my daughter. It was a few days ago. We were sitting down and, my daughter has a boyfriend. Let me get the quotes in there. A boyfriend, right? But he's in a different state. They dwell in the online world. Discord is how they basically communicate, and, they text or whatever. And I'm cool with that. But every now and then, like right now, she's probably on Discord talking to her friends, and he's probably in the chat or whatever, they doing whatever. But I'll walk into the room while she's talking, and she'll try to get her friends, like try to warn them, like, my dad's in the room. But she'll just say it one time real quick, right? She won't say it again. And if the kids don't hear, because a lot of guys, this chatter going back and forth, the kids don't hear, they just keep talking. And I'll just sit there, I'll tell my daughter, I'll just sit there and listen to what the kids are saying, right? Parents, this is what you got to do. And, then I'll leave, and then she'll start laughing, or one of the kids like, hey, did you say your dad's in the room? And then my daughter look at me, and I'll nod my head, and she's like, yes, he's here right now. And then all the kids get quiet, and my daughter starts laughing because she gets a kick out of it. She thinks it's real funny, right? I leave the room, and then you can hear them all laughing and talking and stuff. And so, yeah, I sat my daughter down. And I said, hey, you're getting to the point where, you got puppy love and, you like people and all this kind of stuff. Like, what you need to understand, if someone cares for you, they will never hurt you. They will never yell at you. They will never demean you, right? They will never put their hands on you. They will never talk down to you. They will never call you stupid, right? They would never do these things. And you shouldn't be doing those things to people either. Because if you care about someone, I told her, how many times have I yelled at you? I think maybe once I yelled at you when you made that mistake and, charged all that money, $10,000 on our bank account. She's like, no, Papa, you didn't yell at me then either. So I'm like, yeah, because I love you. Now, it was different for us growing up. We grew up in a different era. But with her, right, and I feel very confident my daughter will come to me if she gets herself into a bind. I told her, you're going to bump your head. You're going to go out here. You're going to talk to the wrong dudes. You're going to think some guy loves you. You're going to think this and think that. And then he's going to try to do some things, put you in a bad position, try to pressure you. Because we've had that talk years ago, like, never take pictures of yourself. You know what I mean? Don't do that. We've had those conversations as well, right? That's all red pill stuff, guys. It's all red pill. Right? That's how the world is working right now. You got to make sure that you're on top of it, especially when you're talking about your kids or people that you love. Right? So, back to Joker. There's a little tangent there. I just want to go off and let you guys know that, you got to have these conversations. But back to what Joker was saying, got married the first time he was young, thought he was in love, 21-year-old girl, whatever. She left him for a guy who had more. Hypergamy, monkey branch. It's all good. That's how it works. Now Joker's talking about his second wife. He's older. She's older. She's a professor. She's probably doing well financially. She's making moves. She's probably growing financially. And Joker's probably staying where he is because he's happy with what he's doing. Probably has a ton of skills. Joker's a very smart guy. But he's like, you know what? I don't feel like chasing that corporate rabbit. I'm happy where I am right now. I'm making plenty of money, live in a place where we can do what I want. I can do what I want to do. We're fine. I would guess that his wife at the time wanted to move up that corporate ladder. She wanted more status, right? She probably wanted more money. She probably wanted a spouse who made as much as she did or more. She probably realized right away Joker wasn't going to do that. And she starts talking down to him. She starts making his life a living hell, right? And then Joker's like, you know what? I'm not going to take this. I've had enough of this. I'm leaving. Joker probably could have ran her over the coals in court, in family court, and the judge would have allowed it because that's how the court gets their money. If she has the money, like Joker probably could have gotten himself some sort of order, maybe some alimony or maybe more in the split. But he probably, like most men, is like, you know what? I'm going to be all right. I'm out of here. Bye. I ain't got time for this. Bye. Cut his losses and left. But again, He didn't have a ton of money at the time, you know. So now Joker's out in the world like, oh, I'm gonna go out here, I'm gonna casually date, and I'm gonna go see the world. So let's catch up with the story.
Dating. And it really didn't, I really didn't hit the point where I wanted to start talking about relationships until I had quit my jobs. I'd sold all my earthly possessions, and I filled an 80-liter backpack and then spent the next 15 or 16 months hitchhiking, busing, and hoofing it around Europe and a little bit in Africa, just over into Egypt, you know, just touching the very northern tip there. And then I did Southeast Asia. And when I got to Australia, I think that's when everything started hitting home for me. In Southeast Asia, the women treated men. Now, again, this is from an outsider's view. So someone living in Southeast Asia, if a Filipino man or a Thai man may disagree with me, but as an outsider going into that culture, the respect and reverence that I was given was surprising. Women were very excited to date you and treat you well and cook for you and kind of be a very traditional woman, even though they knew I wasn't staying. And then the snapback when I landed in Australia, right after I left the Philippines, I went to Australia. I landed in Perth, and I noticed news articles, things that were happening online were very anti-man, very bashing men, bashing the patriarchy, talking about women's strengths and how women are better than men. And it was, I mean, it was such a quick shift in just getting off a plane a few hours later that you say, oh my gosh, something's really going on. Like they're really coming after men.
And yeah, I can definitely see that. You know, it's cultural. You know, like when you're in the West, it's one way. But before I get into this, you know, Brother Mandrell's listening, and Joker said he just, you know, just kind of tipped his toe into Africa, Northern Africa, around Egypt. I'm not a big fan of Africa. Hey, Mandrell, what are your thoughts on Africa? Hey, y'all, there's an insider thing. Mandrell's about to go ballistic. Africa is not his favorite continent, but he has really, really good reasons as to not like Africa. But back to Joker. You know, Joker went through his second divorce. Like, all right, man, that's it. I'm going to sell everything I have, man. I'm going to go out here and see the world. You know, I don't suggest that every dude sells everything that they have and go see the world, but I do suggest that dudes travel and go see the world. Like if you can't afford to go to Europe, Asia, Malaysia, you know what I mean, Africa, wherever it is you're trying to go, well, start traveling around the States. Because what Joker is talking about, I experienced in America when I was young. Like going from Ohio, like going from Cincinnati to Atlanta, culture shift. Like, you know, just the way the women were treating men, culture shift. And then going from Atlanta to LA, huge culture shift. Or going from Cincinnati to New York, right? It blew your mind. And then you had, because, you know, those big cities, people come in. I met people in LA that would have me over for dinner. There were women from the South, and they would cook and serve the food to you and all that. And I'm talking, this is when I was in LA, right? You know, this is back in, you know, 2000s and all that. And I would be very pleasantly surprised, like, wow, she knew how to do it. But the vast majority of women did not know how to do it, right? So I can see being in the Philippines, you know, it's going to be like, whoa, this is crazy. This is amazing. Then going to Australia, Perth, wow. And remember that story I told you guys, I almost had a three-way with two Australian swimsuit models. They were from Perth, but they were in the States. I wasn't there, but I'm just saying things happen. But almost, I didn't get to seal the deal. I told the story on one of our podcasts. I told that story. It was a story time, but I tell you what, man, that was one of the, you talk about what almost happened, and they were beautiful too. But anyway, they were from Perth. But I can see getting off the plane, you're in Australia, and like Joker said, like, wow, it's really an anti-man thing. I can see that. Bro. You know, look at Mandrell like, you already know. Yeah, Mandrell in Africa does not mix, bro. It's like oil and water. We got Brother Michael Lee in the building. What's good, fam? Welcome. So yeah, I can see where Joker's coming from. When I'm around, you know, if I'm in spaces where it's dominated by women, you can kind of hear the whispers. You can hear what's being said about men. You do hear this talk about patriarchy or whatever. You got to fight the patriarchy and the stuff about the wage gap, and you start to hear, myths and falsehoods that get repeated over and over and over again. It's what it is. It is a lot of anti-male stuff out there.
And then once I got in the United States, you jump on the dating apps and say, well, maybe I'll casually date again. And all of a sudden, everything is completely different in just 18 months. You say, oh my gosh, no one wants to talk to you. You don't get a chance. Even with women that, I would consider less attractive than I would normally date. Even they had attitude, and you say, something's going on here. And that's when I think the latest big push against men and everything else. And then with TikTok and other social media apps, it became very popular to roast men, to make fun of men, to put your demands of, I need a 6-figure salary, he needs to be 6 foot. And the culture changed very quickly to women were now promoting how great they were by saying how awful men were and how demanding the woman was, and she needs better than the average guy, trying to, I don't know, it felt like they were trying to make themselves seem more desirable than they were. Everything just kind of went nuts. And I said, I want to talk about this because I'd listened to a few friends and other men out there saying, I'm doing something wrong. This is on me. I was raised to be a good guy. What am I missing? There must be something out there that I need to fix about myself, or that I've done something wrong. My marriage has failed, or the kids got took away, or something that keeps happening where these guys are getting, they're raised by good families, told to do the right thing, and they're doing the right thing, and they're getting cheated on, or they're getting divorced, or they're not getting any dates. And there's a point in time where guys say, it's got to be me. Because the red pill wasn't a thing, or the manosphere, all the other terms they have for men's communities now, that wasn't really a thing. There was Tom Likas and a couple other, Rollo Tomasi's another one, that had been doing this for, a very long time. But a lot of guys didn't know, and I was one of them. I just said, I'm failing as a man. So you get into the pickup artist stuff, and you say, well, maybe this is the key to attract women, how to get women to date me. And after a while, you realize, well, I'm kind of lying. I'm pretending to be somebody I'm not. I'm purporting to be a better man or a different man than I am. Why do I have to do that to get dates or to get interest from women? Something's just not working here. And I think through the very original people that were once on YouTube that have been chased off because it was considered misogynistic and very anti-woman, when in reality it was just men standing up for themselves.
And that's a fact. That's a fact. We got brother Cody is king in the building. What's good, fam? Yo, Cody. Even when you're not in the chat, bro, I'll try to put in some chats. I'm trying to type the chats in, and YouTube won't let me send some of my chats. Bro, I think Cody got me on that naughty list, bro. I think it was you, Cody. Like Cody, once I got jumped in, it's like I'm in the gang now, bro. It's like, but I guess, like I'm saying, bro, there's, I think I'm on a naughty list. There's something going on. He was like, welcome. But it's crazy. Like Cody be talking about, like, what you talking about? You can't put the stuff in the chat. I'm thinking, like, what's wrong with Cody? And sure enough, you get this little red box, this little red error box, and it won't let you put your message in the chat. And it happened to me on my platform. It happens to me here on I Really Want to Know podcast. Crazy. But yeah, Cody, you got a really good point there, man. Both sides complain about being unattractive while not making efforts to be attractive. You know what I mean? It's happening to Mandrell. Mandrell, you on the list too, man. I'm telling you, bro. And it's, bro, especially when we on Black Man's page, man. Black Man Unfiltered, bro. I'm telling you, man, YouTube is coming after us, bro. It's happening. It's happening. But Cody's right. You know, what Joker is talking about is that epiphany that every man is going to, it's going to happen to every man at some point. Joker is not a bottom 80 dude, right? Joker, I mean, he's a short guy. You know what I mean? Like you see, like he shaved his head, he's balding or whatever. Like, but Joker figured it out early on his own how to be attracted to women, and he was bagging them, right? He had 2 wives, right? I'm pretty sure he didn't marry the first 2 women he ever dealt with. So that meant he was out there, women were trying to talk to him. He was doing his thing, right? I do not put guys like Joker in the bottom 80 because these guys, guys like Joker were getting access for women. And the Gen X, when we came up, that was the thing. We knew how to maneuver. We had to go outside and play. We knew how to talk to people. So we had no problems with the opposite sex per se. It's like getting married and all that kind of messed it up. Joker knew what he was doing. So it makes complete sense for him to sit back and be like, yo, what's going on? How come my marriage has failed? How come I can't get these girls to blah, blah, blah. And this is back then. Now it's on something else. Like what's going on today is just insane. If you are a top tier dude, right? Not a high value dude, but a top tier dude. And top tier dudes are the guys who know how to talk, who can get female attention, can get, female intimacy. These guys can do all that while not making 6 figures, while not being, 6 feet, while not, having the charisma or whatever. Kevin Samuels put out like maybe it was like 5 things that'll make you, a high value man. The top tier guys, in my opinion, might have 3 or 4 of those, right? At any one given time. They'll never have all 5. It's like they'll never collect all the rings, but they might have 2 or 3 or 4, right? Those are top tier guys. Those are, these are the dudes that can get intimacy from women. They can be on the scene, but the women won't stay with them. They'll just kind of use them for whatever they're using them for and move on to the next thing. But, and we'll get into that. Medium Man had a video out. We'll definitely be talking about that moving on down the road. But when guys hit that brick wall, right, they're trying to figure it out. Like, how come I can't seal the deal, so to speak? They're going to look in the mirror. They're going to blame themselves. It must be something I'm doing wrong. And then they see these dudes like, man, I'm bringing flowers and, I'm complimenting her and I'm listening to her and I'm attentive to her needs. But Bobby over there, he's a straight douchebag. And he's slaying her. He's not having to pay for any meals. He doesn't have to, buy the cab ride. Because back then we didn't have Uber. He didn't have to pay for the taxi. He didn't have to go pick her up, drop her off. He didn't have to bring her chocolates. He just shows up, smashes, calls her bad names, and leaves. What's going on? Right? And that's when dudes begin to understand the game. Right? And now this technology is here where guys can come and have this conversation and listen to other people. We didn't have this. We only had our crew. We had to go back and talk to each other like, man, remember that girl, Sherry? Man, what's up with that? I thought y'all were together. What happened? Like, man, I don't know, bro. Bobby got her. Like, damn, Bobby. But that's what it is. Brother Cody is saying what sucks is when they don't tell you it's blocked and you look like a fool. Oh, yeah, we're going back to that. Yeah, man, yeah, that's crazy, bro. It's definitely censorship, bro. It's definitely censorship. But let's continue.
And so I listened to a couple of those content creators for a while, and some of them seem to be too strong, too anti-woman for me. Like, I don't hate women.
There's a lot of that.
I just want to figure them out, and I want to try to fix things. And then some of them seemed a little soft, which I think now a lot of people would say I'm probably a little bit soft or softer than I was. And it was just about having conversations and letting guys know that, yeah, things are kind of crazy out there, but it's not necessarily your fault. Maybe you can improve a little bit, but the other end of the spectrum has really gone crazy as well.
Man, you've said a lot there. There's so many directions we can go in. I mean, the first thing I want to say is what's so interesting about this topic. I'd say the conversations about just the reality of men and women, gender dynamics, anything to do with hypergamy, marriage, divorce. Why aren't men getting married? Why aren't women getting married? Why aren't people committing? The thing that is strange about this topic is, I think, a couple things. I think number one is that everybody has a stake in it, because the most normal thing as human beings, boys and girls, men and women, regardless of your culture, your nationality, your background, just gender relations are important for obvious reasons. People want to mate, people want to marry, people want to have children, and we've got 2 sexes and they need to get on. This has always been the case for centuries and millennia. So it's interesting because everyone has a stake in it, and therefore everyone has an opinion on it. Whether it's a man, a woman, old, young, single, married, divorced, never wants to marry, wants to get married ASAP, currently. Every single person has a stake and an opinion. There aren't that many conversations where everybody can contribute, regardless of their age or level of experience. So I think that's really fascinating. I think another thing that's really interesting is almost everybody has an incentive to not be totally honest. Right? Men, women are not going to be totally honest. Men are not going to be totally honest. Whether this is about what they really want, what they're experiencing, what they've experienced in the past, whether positive or negative, what they really think about all these things. Like there's an ego protection going on, and there's also sort of mating strategy protection going on, right? Like if women were just totally upfront about everything that goes on in their heads and in their emotions, it wouldn't necessarily serve their agenda. Same thing with men. And so,
The thing with that is women are, he's right. There's lying on both sides. Men will never tell the truth about their body count, although they want to talk about body counts. Most dudes have an extremely low body count. I'm just keeping it 100 because women want a certain type of guy. Most dudes don't possess the attributes that women are looking for, especially when it comes to, I just want to give you this Foxy Brown. Most dudes don't have, so most dudes have a low body count, but you ask them about it, they're going to inflate it and they're going to lie and they're going to say they have, 10 times more than they actually do. Women, on the other hand, they have the bodies, but they're going to lie and tell you that they don't. And they're going to try to, I don't have 300 bodies. I only have 30. Right. And then she'll throw that out there. Like I have 30 sexual partners and I'm 28 or 22 or something like that. And then the whole room, everyone's jaw drops to the floor. And then she remembers, okay, 30 is too high. So next time she says it, it's 13, right? Jaws drop down a little bit more. Okay, now it's 3. Now it's 5. Now it's 8, right? They'll figure it out. So, and when it comes to the body count thing, I just tell folks like, bro, I don't care. Just so long as if I find out that she's a former professional sex worker or something like that, then I'm probably not gonna mess with it. Like I said, we had that discussion here. It's like, okay, she worked in an exotic dancer or strip club, a gentleman's club for 6 weeks back in 1992. Would I disqualify her? Shit, man, I might, but I might not. Like 1992, there's not a lot of opportunity for that information to embarrass me moving forward. I don't know. We talked about that before. But if she comes back and says, yeah, I was in the adult film industry for 3 weeks, I'm not messing with her. Not seriously. You know what I'm saying? First thing I'm going to do is get tested, make sure I ain't got nothing, and then, move accordingly from there. Brother Cody, the sexists started doing things that their opposites do not like men being cowards or weak, facts, and women being degenerate and impure, for example. Right. You know what I'm saying? Brother Lee, Michael Lee is like 32 years ago. Yeah, man, I'm old. I'm old. She might still be fine, bro. But I'm letting you know that's a man's mentality. He's going to think about that. Like, bro, 32 years ago, she worked for 6 weeks in a strip club and she tells me, I'm thinking she's telling the truth. But I also want to make sure that, she didn't work for 6 years in the industry. I'm going to go to that club. I'm going to talk to some people. Y'all remember this lady back in the day? I mean, it's just one of those things. That's just how a man's minds work. But, it is what it is. Cody, bro, the day won't matter to you. Your soul will know. That's a good point. But those are the things like women would think, oh, it's nothing. But a guy would like, nah, bro, you did that 32 years ago for 6 weeks, 6 days even. You're like, yo, like Cody said, man, your soul will know. So it's like, are you cool with that? There's a lot of guys who are. There are guys that are cool with women who are currently doing that. They're cool with the women doing the OF stuff, shooting content with other men, and they're going to come home to you. Same thing with adult film stars. It is what it is. Same thing with the influencers. Like, what's going on in Dubai. Who out there listening to my voice right now has no idea what's going on in Dubai? Nobody. Everyone knows what's going on over there. They know about that porta potty life. And these women are over there doing it. Right. And this is the game. Now, the game is constantly evolving and dudes need to evolve with it, but guys are always slow to change.
So it's strange because these conversations go on, but it feels like almost everybody is lying all of the time. When I see these convos going on online, whether it's coming from a more liberal perspective or a more conservative, whether it's coming from men, whether it's coming from women, there's always, we can talk about it, but we can't really be totally honest because it's going to look bad. So something I find interesting about like what you and a small handful of other people do is you kind of just say what you think is true. And when you do that, you're always going to get accusations of hating women or of misogyny, of being a sexist. You're going to get, of course, the who hurt you. You're going to get the, oh, well, if something went wrong, I don't know the details of your past relationships and right? Like relationships are very complicated, but whether it's women or it's men or it's liberal or conservative, they're always going to default with, well, what's interesting is they still always tend to put the accountability on men, right? And someone could argue that you should or you shouldn't, but it's kind of fascinating. There's always a hesitation and an aversion to recognize the female side of the equation. Very few people have a problem with telling men, look, like, it's your fault. You need to do better. You need to take responsibility. You need to take accountability. No one has a problem with that. Liberal, conservative, man, woman, no one has a problem with telling men, hey, look, man, you need to man up. You need to do better. But I find people get very, very shy and uneasy if there's ever a conversation of like, okay, well, all that can be true. Let's also talk about the other side of the equation, because, women are not these perfect little angels who always, do what's good. And if it weren't for men, there'd be no corruption or whatever. That's just not the reality. So I think we're just kind of at a very interesting space right now culturally, where a lot of the trends that you talk about are being noticed, and more millions of people are experiencing them to varying degrees. I'm constantly seeing women complaining about men online. I'm constantly seeing men complaining about women. Obviously, I know people in the real world. I have my own experiences and see what other people have been through. And in short, it's quite a mess that has been created, particularly in the modern West. Technology has made it even more complicated. But the seeds of all this stuff were planted, I think, prior to either of us even existing in the world. So what is your sort of read in the decades that you've been living? What's your sort of read on the trajectory of what has happened, particularly and quite uniquely in the West, that has led to this gender chaos where marriage rates are at an all-time low, people being single is at an all-time high, childlessness is at an all-time high, and it just seems that neither men or women, whether they're older or younger, overall seem to be so happy with the other sex. What do you think is going on?
Well, he put a lot out there, didn't he? But you got to understand that Zuby's married. Zuby's doing his own thing. He comes from a different world. He's the one of the guy, like, he figured it out early and really didn't seem to have too many issues. Like, so good for him. We got Brother Pitney in the building. What's good for him? So, and fellas, I saw the messages about like, yeah, why mess with a woman who basically compromised herself even once? She sold herself one time. Why deal with that? I hear you. And there's another thing too, because we're talking about exotic dancers and whatnot, bro. Hollywood, bro. Like, if you're an actress and you get into a movie and you do a steamy sex scene, bro, she has to go home to her husband. Like, as the husband, you have to right, welcome her home. And how do you deal with that? Even in Hollywood, bro, like, they're acting. You don't know what they're doing when there's a sheet involved. You don't know what they're wearing underneath. Like, it's bro, did the dude really smash? It's crazy. Sister Jody's in the building. What's good, sis? Like, did the dude smash? Like, babe, did you really do that? Did you touch it? I mean, we did a short once. It was a comedic short. A friend of mine asked me to do it. It was one of her jokes. We're all comics, right? So the guy directing was a comic, but a director, a producer, like, he's Brian Keith Ettrick. Shout out to him. Really cool guy, done a bunch of stuff. And I'm not going to name who the female was that asked me to do it, but beautiful, making her way up, as an actor and as a comedian. And she said, hey, we want to tackle that trope where the good boy, the dutiful plugged in beta goes out the front door because it's football Sunday and he wants to go watch football with his friends. And then you got, then you pan the camera to the back door. And then there I am. I poke my head around the doorway and it's like the black dude, the number one taboo, the young white woman who has the black dude on the side. And then I come in and we had to do like it was like a sex scene. And it was crazy because I'm not a real actor. I just, I'll go have fun with my friends. I'm not a real actor, but I agreed to do this. And of course you want to do something. You want to do it to the best of your ability. So we're in there, the two of us, me and my friend, we had to sit down and talk about how we gonna do this. Now, mind you, she was like, she had a serious boyfriend at the time who was also in the business. I'm not gonna say his name either because you guys gonna look these people up and I don't want that. So he was there when we started filming and then he went away. And it was funny, he went away because he knew he had the shot list. He knew when we were going to be filming what. So it's like, oh, he has to go when it's time for us to do this sex scene. And bro, it was weird. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was weird. And she's beautiful. And a lot of guys will say, oh man, if I get a chance, you can do a sex scene with this person, well, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna do this and that. It's so much going on around you, bro. Like you got the director giving you instructions. You have to talk to the other person to figure, okay, how are we going to do this? Where we need to be on this bed to get the right shot, to get the right angle. You got the assistant, the AD, the assistant director talking about time. We only had this much time to shoot this, so we're really trying to get this done. You got the sound people walking around. You got folks measuring and taping stuff off. Bro, it was crazy. So with all that going on, as beautiful as she is, and she's still fine, right? She's like just the way I like them, bro. They call her a white girl, but she's really an exotic. Like she was, mixed like Italian, Portuguese, and white or something like that. It was crazy. She's a beautiful woman. I was not even thinking about the fact that the two of us, like she's wearing shorts and like pasties, and I'm wearing my boxers, and we got covers and sheets. And the bedroom was full of people, bro. There was no arousal whatsoever when it came to me. It wasn't like, oh boy, I'm starting to feel this. Nothing. It was crazy. So the people in the business understand that it is business, and it's nothing really sexual about the sex scenes. And I'm talking about just regular Hollywood movies, not the adult film stuff. But at the same time, if two people have a thing for each other, like they like each other, you could literally slip it in. You could, the two of you work it out with the covers, and now you're doing it. You're slipping it in, and no one knows. It's kind of like a game, right? So that that could happen. Didn't happen with me, and that's the only time I ever did a scene like that. And then we did that scene. Then we had to do another scene where we were in the bathroom, and I had her. This was part of her. She had a bit. It was like one of her punchlines, and she wanted to do her punchline. So in that scene, I was behind her. She was bent over. We're in front of the sink and the mirror, and it was something going on with the mirror. And bro, I'm telling you, man, it was work. It was work. But having said all that, how do you handle that as a man? Your wife, or as a woman, your husband is doing these sex scenes, in Hollywood. Like you get the red carpet, you're making, tons of money. Let's say the A-listers are making tons of money. How do you handle that? So, and you guys let me know. I know I kind of dragged that on in the chat. Let me know. Would you marry a woman, or ladies, would you marry a man who does that for a living? Is make believe. They have to be another person. They have to do these love scenes. They have to do these things where they caress one another. They kiss passionately. I mean, bro, like how would you handle that? So, that's a question. And people ask me, like, would you be in a long-term relationship with someone in Hollywood? I'm like, well, what do they do? Like a producer, director, AD, sure. You know what I mean? Like the people who do the audio stuff, like like the technical, the below the line people, sure. But actors, I don't know. That's a tough one. Not that I'm a jealous type dude, but it's like, damn, that's a tough one. And then going into a relationship at my age, let's say that I'm messing with, you name the actress, you want to marry her, it's like she's already acting, you don't want to hinder her career. You signed up. This is what she was doing. You know, you're going to be the guy that's like, you need to stop acting like, bro, how would you handle that? How would you handle that? Let's get back into, well, before we do that, Cody is saying we're at a point I said was coming. The pendulum is coming back. That's a fact. That's a fact. Let's get back into it. Here we go.
Well, I think it depends how deep you want to drill down into it. You know, you can get to the point where you're really stretching for conspiracy that might be backed by a little bit of data, all the way up through just social media and a lot of the writers of articles and people on television have a very pro-feminist left-wing bias. I think, but if you go back and look at things, we'll take it back. A lot of men say, I want a traditional woman. If you look at things back in the 1940s, 50s, even early 60s, there were men that would get married, have children, and they would leave. They would go start dating the secretary, or they'd leave the family in the lurch. And the mother would be left with kids. She'd be desolate. There wasn't a lot of help for her. So in a good way, they decided to write laws that would allow part of that man's income and his finances to support the woman and the kids, so he couldn't just leave them in a lurch. That was a good thing. But like in many ways, there are people that will game the system. And as you move forward through time and no-fault divorce and other things coming about, women quickly learned that they can actually be at fault in the marriage, either cheating or some sort of infidelity, just deciding to leave, and the man was still on the hook for money. And a story that I talked about 2 or 3 years ago is that attorneys, there's a fund, and I'm going to get some of this maybe not quite accurate because it's been many years, but there's a fund in the government that is meant to support women getting divorced, and it ties in with the attorneys. I forget exactly how, but the attorneys, there's with this law and funding, that if an attorney advises a woman to state that he had been harmful, either emotionally, physically, or some other way, she can get full custody of the children. And if she gets full custody of the children, not only does she get more money from the man, but the government backs up the attorney by giving him extra money, him or her, extra money, because of this case that they represented somebody that had been hurt by a man. And so now you have women claiming a good guy did something bad just so they can get full custody and therefore get more money from the state and get more money from the man himself. And it's really harming guys when it comes to divorce.
And remember, the state gets a kickback from the feds for every dollar that they order in child support. They get a kickback from the feds. I don't know if it goes for alimony as well. Looks like I said, I touched a nerve when we were talking about the Hollywood stuff. You know, brother Cody, he was like, yo, man, he's like, there's a reason so many in Hollywood are rainbows and corner of the room chair sitters. It's a good point. Never thought about it until just now, bro. And Jody's like, I fat fingered that giggity girl coming over here, getting everybody riled up. It's like, how did my ass look hairy? This is another thing I didn't realize. I go in to do this thing. I signed up for this thing. I agreed. She told me exactly what we're going to be doing. She gave me a script. And again, this is before YouTube was like really big, guys. This is when Hollywood, you know, people were always making just shorts. This is just stuff that they would do to pad their resumes, right? So I knew exactly what was going on. I'm like, I read the scenes, and we talked about it on the phone. And again, I was flattered because she came to me. Of all the comics, and there were comics out there far more suited to do this thing. There were proper actors and, you know, had credits and all that. But she was like, no, man, you cool. I like you. You good people. I trust you, was the biggest thing. She's like, I trust you. I'm going to be smashing my body up against yours. We're not going to have much clothes on. You know, I was like, all right, cool. But I didn't think that I should, you know, shave my hairy back and hairy butt, bro. I ain't think about that, Jody, to answer your question. So what did my ass look like? Extremely hairy. It looked like the like Sasquatch, bro. It was like the missing link of somebody, bro. The abominable snowman was was doing push-ups, right? That's what it looked like, bro. It was hair everywhere, bro. It was God, dog. It was crazy. So but like I said, it was so much going on that it was not, from my end, there was nothing sexual about it at all. And you know, her and I, and we're really cool to this day. Like it was fun. It was the only time I ever did anything like that. And this is why I can tell you that I am not an actor, and I will never really be an actor. I can't. It's just certain things that I'm not comfortable doing. I won't do. You know, an actor has to be able to come on the scene, on the set, not knowing who the other person is sometimes, and just do the scene. I can't do that. You know, like, oh, so-and-so's not going to be here. We got to stand in, or, you know, we lost so-and-so. So, you know, your co-star is now this person, and you got to go back and do reshoots, and you got to do all that stuff with the other person. I can't do it. And Brother Penny, you're right. Yesterday's stream was sus as I don't know what, man, but we had to get through it. We had to get through it. You're right. Cody was saying, hell no, man. No, he ain't messing with it. Seems like a lot of Hollywood marriages break up during film projects. Facts. And a lot of that is not even because of the people they're filming with. It's just they have to go away. So you have two people who are, you know, big Hollywood actors. One has to go to Portugal to shoot something for 3 months, and the other one has to go to, I don't know, you know, Wyoming and shoot something for 2 months. They're gone. Even though they talk all the time and FaceTime, they're going to get lonely and they're going to go out and do stuff. And then you got people on set. I mean, it's crazy. And Cody makes a real good point here, man. Like, getting into a relationship with a professional liar isn't an awesome idea to begin with. That is a Don DeMarco for real. Don DeMarco. That might be the chat of the day. You know what I mean? Brother Penny's like, can't stand actresses. I ain't mad at you, man. She's like, they sure do on child support. Jody was talking about how they, you know, they make money and all that. Man, bro, you go into a family court situation, that judge is going to order child support. Even if the man and woman have come up with their own terms that doesn't include child support, that judge is going to keep drilling down. Are you sure, ma'am, you don't want child support? Are you sure, sir? Sure, sir, you don't want to order child support. And, you know, I got friends who did that. I'm like, no, we don't. We're good. We don't want to do that. And my friend was telling me the judge must have asked 4 or 5 times during the hearing, like, we're done. Can we wrap this up, sir? We have things to do. Like, they both wanted to get out of there. They didn't have lawyers. They went in, mediation, they got everything written down. All the judge had to do was sign it. And the judge kept saying, are you sure? Are you sure? Talking to her. Right. And they were both air traffic controllers. They both made a lot of money. And they're thinking, like, we can get money out of this dude. This dude is making, $130,000, $160,000 a year. We can get at least $1,800, $2,300 child support order out of this. And the lady said, no, Your Honor, I do not want to do that. I do not want to do that. So, brother Michael Lee is like, man, you are not with the baddie business. And you're right about that. I'm not. I mean, to each his own. Go do you. If that's what you do, do you, man. But I ain't on that. I'm not on that at all, bro. Brother Tez in the building. What's good, bro? Tez, to find this joint, man. Good to see you. Good to see you, fam. Glad you showed up, man. And good to see you, man. I ain't seen you in a minute, man. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you. It's good to know that the algorithm is letting people come in. I'm telling you, man, I think YouTube is out to get us. Let's keep going.
And so you've got that portion of it, that we tried to do the right thing to protect women, and it ended up backfiring against men. And now it's to the point where there's been videos that I've done where a man, not only did he lose a good chunk of his income in a divorce, but at 2 or 3 years old, he's finding out the children aren't even his, but the state still says, well, the children recognize you as the father, so you must pay child support for children that aren't biologically yours, that she cheated.
Bro, facts. I've seen that. The judge will say, and I've seen it in court. You're sitting around in court when you're going through the system, you're sitting around in court and waiting for them to call your number, and you get to see all the other cases. I saw that in court. The judge will say, well, you're the only father that these children have ever known. So we're going to go ahead and make you financially liable for these kids. They don't make you a legal parent or guardian. They just take your money, which means you can't even fight for custody. Now, some judges will say, since we're making you pay, we're going to go ahead and give you custody, and they will treat you and the children as if they're your biological. Some judges won't, which is crazy. Could you imagine? And then the mother knows the kid loves the kid, or kids love that father, and she'll still be able to use the court. She's getting the money, and then she can use the court power to keep her children away from that dude, only getting his money which really hurts. He ain't lying about that, man. He is just not lying about that. It's evil. There's no other way to put it, bro. It's evil. And then you'll have dudes. There was a guy that worked at one of the facilities that I worked when I was an air traffic controller. I didn't know this dude. I'm hearing this story secondhand. I worked with his buddy. His buddy said that he was dating this girl, and he dated her for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. You know what I mean? Let's make it proper. I'm going to go ahead and give y'all the whole thing, man. Here we go. It's story time.
Everybody sit down, please. It's story time. It's story time.
So I'm working in a radar facility, and this is the alphas of air traffic controllers, bro. I'm working with them, and we're talking, and this is before I knew about the manosphere, manoswamp, red pill, any of that stuff. I ain't know nothing about nothing. And we were talking about child support. We were talking about the system, right? We were just talking about the system. So this dude was saying, hey, man, my homeboy, he's over in this other area. What areas are the different section of the building, like there's different areas when you work in like a big radar place. So you might not even see people who work like in, we'll call it area A, and you work in area G. You might not ever see the dudes in area A or area B because you're so far on the other side of the building. So he's in a different area. So he's like, yeah, man, one of my homies, man, was dating this woman, right? She was cute, all this kind of stuff. He thought, whatever. So he dated her for, I don't know, 6 months. Kept trying to get at her, right? And this is before the whole red pill thing. Red pill existed. I just didn't know about it. But she was basically using him as a foodie date, using him for experiences, basically just using him for his money. 6 months. He never hit, never smashed, not one time. They never had sex ever. They break up, or I think he got tired of it. He realized what was going on. She was just using him. He ghosted her, whatever. One day he's at work, talking to HR or whatever, trying to figure out who's taking money. Like there was money being taken from his pay. Come to find out it was a court order for child support. Little shorty went to the court, named him father of her child. Mind you, they never had sex. Bro, it took him 18 months. I think it was like 18 months of child support before he could prove that wasn't his child. And he went in day one, right? They were like, you didn't show up for the initial hearing, so we just went ahead and made this order. It's like, well, I never got served properly. She said she served him, had some fake documents or whatever. The court deals with this all the time. They didn't do anything to her. It was fake documents. She never got him served. She just had a friend sign a paper that said that she served him. All right, whatever. They ordered child support, whatever. The guy comes in, is like, Your Honor, never had sex with her, like ever. I can guarantee you that's not my child. We like to do a DNA test. Didn't have a lawyer, didn't know the proper ways to go about doing this, man. The judge said, no, we're not going to do that. You're going to have to keep paying child support. So he went and got a lawyer, came back. Now he's paying the lawyer. The lawyer makes the argument, and the lawyer told him, like, look, the way we're going to have to do this, bro, you're going to have to keep paying child support, and then we're going to have to get you visitation. And then once we get visitation, you're going to have to find some way to swab that baby, and we just get a DNA test. The court will be mad at us, but once we get a DNA test, we can show that there's some doubt here. Then they will go ahead and order a test. And that's what they did. And it took 8 months. Right. And the girl knew what time it was. So what she would do is she would fight him getting visitation. And the way it worked, he had supervised visitation. So it took all that time. And eventually the person who was the counselor or whatever, or the social worker that was supervising the visit, stopped watching him like a hawk, realized there's nothing wrong with this guy. He's just a normal dude. He's not, some criminal or whatever. He's not no, PDF file. So, and the child is like, again, it's a baby. Like it went from newborn to 18 months. It only took like a year and a half. So he finally got an opportunity to swab the child, did the DNA test. DNA test comes back. Your Honor, we swabbed the child. DNA test comes back, says it's like, it is like, 99.99999% chance that this guy's the father, right? He's not the dad. Judge got mad, scolded the guy, threatened to throw him in jail, said a whole bunch of other stuff, right? Being mad or whatever. And then the judge ordered a DNA test. Court ordered DNA test. The girl tried to put it off as hard as she could, like she didn't want to do it. Judge finally forced her to do the DNA test. And of course, that's not his dad. He's not the father. They removed the court order, child support, The court ordered child support got removed. And then the guy was like, well, can I get my money back? Because she obviously lied about this the whole time. The judge said no. Nope, can't get your money back. So he was paying like $3,000 a month for 18 months. Right? Which is crazy. You know what I mean? Yeah, bro, he's being used as a sucker. I mean, you know, his game was off, bro. His game was off, man. Definitely good to see you, brother. I'm so glad you're here. His game was off. You know, talking about this dude. Like, yeah, she was using him like a sucker. Absolutely, 100%. But if his game was solid, he would have noticed that from day one. He would have known to leave this chick alone. The minute she didn't want to smash, he should have known something was up. Remember, 3-day rule, guys. 3-day rules. 3 days or 3 days. If she ain't doing nothing, move on. Move on. The 3-day rule isn't about just conquering. The 3-day rule lets you know that she's really into you or she's not. Simple as that. Move on. He didn't do that, and look what it cost him. And he didn't get any of that money back. All that money he had to spend, right? Plus his lawyer fees. I think all in, I think he was saying it was something like $50,000, you know, it was the child support money plus lawyer fees. I want to say $50,000 was the number. That's what it cost him over 18 months dealing with, you know what I mean, a predator and dealing with the legal system that backs the predators.
And so young men, when they see these stories come out and this travels across the web and you say, well, if I get married, if I find out the kid isn't mine, I might still have to pay child support. In France and in other sections here in the United States, but France is a country I specifically remember, they made it illegal to do a paternity test on your children unless there's a crime involved, some sort of a crime. So a man can't just say, I want to make sure these kids are mine. You can't do that. It is actually against the law. So men start looking at this and they say, you know, the system that we set up to protect women has been gamed against us. And that was the beginning. That was the things that I started getting worried about and noticing of, hey, don't cohabitate, because some people have to pay alimony because they've lived with a woman for 3 or 4 or 5 years, like in California or other things, and you're recognized as the provider. So you don't get married, you don't cohabitate.
Common law.
You got to be real careful if you have kids. And that's the base of the big worry, where a lot of myself and other content creators got into the red pill. And then what we started noticing, and I use red pill because it's a colloquial term that many people know, whether you want to call it manosphere or whatever, but just started talking about men's issues, we'll just say. And then moving forward, journalists today are overwhelmingly either women or have a left-wing bias. They're very in support of women. So the articles come out, men are not as successful in graduating at the same rates. Women most affected. Like, women can't find enough men to marry that are successful. Instead of focusing on the men that are struggling, they're talking about how the women are struggling because there's not enough good men to go around for women. And you start realizing there's a very strong anti-male thread that goes through everything, even in the conservative circles. And so as this comes to light and you realize the media is kind of against you, TV's against you. When's the last time you saw a masculine, intelligent male role model in a family? You don't see those. It's the women that's the smart, creative one, and the guy's the bumbling idiot.
You got to go all the way back to the Cosby Show, right? Which is a horrible example in real life. But is that, you got to go that far to find a strong male lead patriarch?
Always has to fix. Same thing in commercials. Same thing on social media, that if I came out and said a woman must be all these things, she must be traditional, low body count, she must cook, take care of the children, raise the children at home while I make the money, well, I'm called backward thinking, old man, fuddy-duddy misogynist. But if a woman comes out and says, I want the man to stay home and he must do 50-50 and I make the decisions and he needs, you know, my money's my money and his money's my money and I'm never having kids and we need to do things my way, well, that's just her choice. So it's men's choice, bad. Women's choice, well, good. And when you start seeing this through many things, depending on how crazy you want to go, you can see it in everything or you can see it in just a little bit. And now on TikTok, to kind of bring this all the way up to current times, on TikTok, I can show you thousands of videos where women are saying men are evil, men are awful, men are worthless, men are blah, 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 blah. But if I said the same about women, my account's gone. It's over. And what it's causing is the crazy women's opinions being very loud and vocal for the world to see, and men's opinions silenced. So ironically, it's making men seem like they're not as crazy. And I'm sure there are plenty of men that are just as crazy
Facts.
and have just as crazy opinions, but they're not allowed to be on social media because they're shut down. I'll say
That's a fact. I mean, bro, this is fire stuff. He ain't lying. He ain't lying. Donna Marco, for real. He ain't lying. It's you have podcasts out here, that female podcasts that will say stuff like delete all male babies. And they still have a platform. They still have a platform. Right? I don't know any male, red pill, manosphere, black pill platforms that are saying this, that are still a thing, that are not demonetized, that are not completely just wiped down, wiped away. I mean, he's right. But again, this is the game. This is why I tell folks, man, y'all better pay attention to the game, because the game is constantly changing. It's constantly evolving. You got to evolve with it. You have to. And this is going to go full circle, because there are a lot of women out there who are lonely. They got all this money, and they got all these trinkets, but they don't have a man. And they want that relationship. So you got women who are waking up. But, the stuff that they get away with versus the stuff that men get away with when it comes to social media is like night and day difference.
this way, because women are allowed to say what they want to say and they're not removed from social media. Women can go crazy and say some really crazy things and go viral for it. But the men that might be as crazy, that might say as many crazy things, they're not allowed to say it. They're removed from social media. And in the end, there's a lot of crazy women saying crazy things and not many crazy guys saying anything because they're not allowed to, because they're removed from the social media. So ultimately,
I mean, yeah, even when you look at someone like Andrew Tate was saying some very wild, bombastic stuff, man, but he wasn't saying hateful, evil, delete people type stuff. He wasn't. Very provocative, yeah. Right? But they wiped him away from social media. Like, why? Someone like Nick Fuentes, I understand. Like, that type of stuff that he's saying, like, bro, is going to incite some real crazy nonsense. Yeah, I get that. Demonetizing Fresh and Fit. Why? Right? And you look at what Myron was doing away from Fresh and Fit. I'm like, okay, if they want to do that, because, come on, man. Like, what are you doing, bro? You putting on a KKK hood and all that, or are you joking? Do you mean it? This is crazy. But at the end of the day, like, well, that's a black dude putting on a hood. It's crazy work, but not the same as a white dude doing it. But they demonetized him. All right, fine. Pearl. She got demonetized, but she got her money back. Right? And it's just like, but on the other side of that, women will say some of the wildest shit, bro, and get away with it. And then who are the guys who are successful? The dating coach dealing with women or whatever. You got to be plugged in beta, like that guy we were talking about the other day. Plugged in beta males who telling women exactly what they want to hear. Miserable, right? I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, bro, y'all need to, figure this out. Either be equal with, like deplatforming and demonetizing, like, be equal with that across the board, or, just let everybody do what they're going to do. I mean, that's how I see it. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. Cody is saying, as a man, you are not allowed to say sane things either. I mean, bro, I look at my platform. It's like, I don't think I'm radical with the stuff that we talk about over here. I'm just telling you, this is the deal. Look out. This is how you handle it. This is what you need to do. Right? Like, kind of like Joker was doing. Joker say, you might want to just sit down for a minute. Don't participate. I'm like, nah, if you want to participate, do it this way. But, bro, I look at my reach. It's like, it's not there.
it ends up making women look like the ones that have lost their minds.
It's so odd. I mean, I resonate with what you're saying. We both, you probably spend more time online than I do because you make a lot of videos, but the sort of impact of technology and this communication medium, it's been such a double-edged sword because, something I find interesting in the modern times we live in is that there is a narrative. I feel like regardless of what demographic you're in, there is a negative that the system or the bias or the society in general is against you. So if everything you're saying makes sense to me, and I'm sure I've seen many of the same videos, and I'm very hyper aware of lots of these dynamics that are going on, and the double and the triple standards and so on.
Like and subscribe.
And I can talk to a woman, maybe of a more feminist persuasion, which is the majority in the West, and they will talk about how the world is a patriarchy and men have privilege, and marriage even advantages men more than it does women, and so on and so forth. They'll have all these examples, even sometimes with data, talking about how obviously it's better to be a man than it is to be a woman in the UK, even in the USA and Canada, in like countries where it's, you could say it's easily the best places in the world to be a woman, but they feel like they're oppressed. They feel like the system is against them. Men have the advantages and so on. Then I can talk to men who are more, let's say, red pill leaning, let alone, black pill or MGTOW or just whatever, they see some of this stuff going on and they kind of feel the other way. They feel, hey, it's, men who are discriminated against. You see the same thing, by the way, on racial lines. I can talk to, some black people and they're like, oh my gosh, there's all this anti-black racism and they're worried about white supremacy and this and that. And they're talking about the systems disadvantage them. And then I also know white guys who are like, no, the system is racist and sexist against white guys, right? Like it's the worst time to be a white guy. And they have, and each of these narratives in its own little framing and context, I get what they mean. Like I can understand how, regardless of like which one of these groups you fit into, you can adopt a worldview where it's like, okay, yeah, these things disadvantage me, or it's skewed this way, or it's unfair this way. I guess something I wonder is, maybe this is a question like for you personally, is what's your goal or motivation in terms of the stuff that you put out there? Is the goal to raise awareness and just wake people up more? Is it to advise or push men in a certain direction? Is it to try to get certain laws and things, say, for example, in the family court, changed ultimately? What is your personal sort of goal? Like when you're making videos or you're putting your stuff out there, what would you like to see change?
Well, I don't know if I per se would have any type of goal of changing anything but people's minds. Because I'm not really an activist, nor do I have any aspirations to become one.
And before Joker gets into it, yeah, we got to change the family court system. We have to take the money out of the system. What do I mean by that? We need to do what they did in Florida. It needs to be the court's position that is in the child's best interest to have equal access to both parents. What does that mean? 50-50. That should be the default. You go in the court for, you go into court looking for custody and child support. It's 50-50. That's the default. Doesn't mean you're not going to pay anything, but it means you're not going to be punished for not having access to your child. Right. So, but generally speaking, you're going to be paying the absolute least amount possible. Same thing with alimony. Forever alimony doesn't make any sense. That should never be a thing. So Florida did away with that as well. I believe Kentucky's working on the child support thing. Different states are slowly working on it. So yeah, you need to advocate for that. How you do it? You got to get involved politically. I don't know if Joker's going to get into all that, but I definitely want that stated. You have to take power away from judges. First of all, it shouldn't even be a court system. You should, if you're dealing with that, man, you should go in. It's all right. It's 50-50 custody. How y'all want to split it up? That's all we're here to talk about. How you want to split it up. And if you guys can't figure it out, we'll figure it out for you. We're going to give you this. This is the most common split. That's what y'all get. So ordered. Shouldn't be a judge. Like you should be sitting there in front of bean counters. Let's look at how much money y'all making. Or basically when it comes to raising a child, we know how much it costs to raise a child from age 0 to 18 anywhere in America. The Department of Agriculture does a study. I think it's every 7 years. We know exactly how much it costs to raise a child anywhere in America. So when you go in for child support, all right, it's 50-50. You guys have equal custody. So let's look at how much it costs to raise a child in this area. You punch in the zip code or the state, however you want to do it. Bam, let's say it's $100,000 to raise that child over 18 years. All right, that's $50,000 each. That's it. That's it. Now we talk about, okay, who has medical insurance versus who doesn't have medical insurance. What type of, as far as school and all that, man, that's on y'all to work out. We're going to make sure the child has a shelter, a home. We're going to make sure the child has access to medical insurance, medical care, and we're going to make sure the child gets education. That's it. And then, like, if it comes down to someone has to pay child support, let's say whatever reason, let's say the one parent doesn't want to participate. Okay, fine. It's $100,000 to raise your child over 18 years. You owe 50 grand. Simple as that. You could pay it all up front, or you could pay on it monthly over 18 years, but you got to pay $50,000. Done. And take that kickback, take that money out, that title, what was it, Title 4D. Get rid of Title 4D. Take that kickback away. So now the judges in the court system have no incentive to write these orders because they're not getting any money. And it's done. It's done. Just that easy. Let's hear what Joker has to say.
I think mine is a couple of things. Number one, entertainment. We all like to see crazy people doing crazy things and make fun of them as a group, a collective. That's just entertainment. So that's part of it. But the other thing too is to make people aware of things. When I was a young guy, I did not know when things went bad, whether it was relationships or you get cheated on or you get hurt, you get divorced, you get broken up with, all the things that can happen to somebody. There's a part of, I think, male responsibility is taking ownership of it. It's never a healthy thing to walk around saying, oh, I'm such a victim. Everybody hates me. Everybody's against me. That will not get you anywhere in the world ever. I mean, you might get some free things. You might get some social media clout, but it's not going to get you ahead in life. I want people to get ahead in life. And so rather than maybe wasting time getting married where you can lose half your assets, maybe instead of wasting time in the dating market where things are heavily skewed against you to where you feel like you must wear an expensive outfit and wear a fancy car and hit the gym to be jacked just to get the attention of women. And none of those things are bad things to do if you want attention from women. Obviously, they work. But the idea is you're going to have to find a way to be happy with yourself and the world the way it is. I'm not changing the world. You're not changing the world. The world is what it is. We can vote. We can speak out against it. We can do what we best can to try to change things, but you have to be okay with what's going on. And the best way to do that is to be a happy person for yourself. You can't blame a company that doesn't want to hire you because you're white or you're black. You're not going to change their mind. If they've decided they're in DEI and they're not going to hire me, but they're going to hire you, I can't change that. I can speak out against it, not going to change it. If a company says, well, we're going to only hire white dudes, or as an example, or we're just hiring women, or we're just hiring whatever, members of the LGHD TV community, whatever you want to call it. If they're going to do that, you're not going to change it. And so you can go home and you can be angry and you can stew about it and rage online, but you're no closer to being a better person or a happier person or having a better job. My whole thing is you're going to have to find a way to be a better man on your own. And if that means moving, if it means getting a job that maybe you don't want to do, but it pays very well so you can further yourself down an advancement and get some property or better your financial situation, you have to look for a way to win. And right now we're in a situation for a lot of guys, and maybe even for some women, I don't know, I can't speak to that, but it doesn't matter your skin color, it doesn't matter how you identify, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Right now, everybody thinks there's some part of the system against you. I can't speak for all those groups except for men and specifically white dudes. I can't speak for what it's like to be a black person in the community today. I can read statistics, but that's not firsthand. But what I can tell you is if you want to sit down and cry about things and feel bad about life and everybody's against me, you will lose. Whereas if instead you say, okay, well, despite all these things, I'm going to remain stoic and intelligent and creative. I'm going to look for a way to win for myself, at least. Maybe it's not for a family or the house on the hill with the picket fence and the wife and kids. Even if you don't do that, look for a way that you can win. And for that, it's different for everybody. You know, a man in the middle of the Philippines is completely different from a guy living in Chicago, is completely different from an English farmer. But if you're smart enough to say, okay, here's my situation, here's the society around me, here's what's going on with corporations and the media and all these other things, how am I going to win? Well, once you figure that out and you implement it, you're on the right track. So the big thing over time, it was notifying people what's going on. And now a lot of what I do is entertainment. But the big thing I want people to do is figure out a way to win, because you're not going to change the world around you. It's going to, you can protest, you can vote, you can do whatever to make small changes, but it is a very giant cruise ship that just turns in very slight degrees. So the best way to win is stop worrying about everybody else, get your situation together, and then you don't care about what's going on with everybody else once you're in a good enough position. And so over time, that's kind of how I've taken my channel. And I get pushback. A lot of people, young people today especially, say, you don't understand the work market, you don't understand this, that, or the other thing. You just don't understand. You're Gen X, you're 52. You don't know how it is. They're right. But I can tell you one thing that's universal is if men could go off in World War II and lose body parts and come back to a society where things are bad, well, I mean, you survived a war. That's worse than anybody's going through. Well, many of us are going through. I'm not at war. I haven't lost a limb. You know, I have fresh, clean drinking water. I take a hot shower. I have a roof over my head. I live better than a lot of people out in the world. So stop coming at this from woe is me and start doing it. Start getting it done. Go out and.
He's basically saying what I'm saying, bro. The game doesn't care. You're born into this game. You will die in this game. So you best game yourself up, understand what's going on, learn the rules, and win. You got to win. And people ask me, like, well, what does it mean to win? Well, that's up to you. You get to determine what's a win for you. What are you trying to do? You get to map out how you're going to handle this, how you're going to deal with this game, how you're going to play your game. Like, for some dudes, winning just going out smashing random chicks. That's a win for them. They do it they try to do it every night. They might bust down 2-3 a month. They're happy with that. That's a win for them. They're working. They got money. They can buy what they want to buy when they want to buy it, and they smash it. They got a nice rotation. That's a win for them. Some people, the win is being married. To me, when I see a man and a woman, they come together and they make that happen, and they stay together. They uphold the vows that they took in front of their family, their friends, and their God. They won to me. That's when you're like, well, you know what I mean? That's both of those people. What's the term that people say? Like, both of those people won. That's how I look at it. Like, they both come to the table. People are always saying who is, more valuable or who, whatever. When they come together, that's when, that's when y'all made it. Y'all both won. A lot of people say that's winning. Some people say just surviving is winning. Just making it to tomorrow is winning. But you have to determine what's winning to you, and you have to figure out how you're going to get there, plot that out, and get there. Right? Get there. Simple as that. I agree with Joker 100% on that. And then we're going to listen to this, and then maybe another 10 minutes or so. It's a few more things that Joker said that I want you guys to hear, and then we're gonna move on to Rich Cooper.
Make it happen. That's what I'm doing now.
I hear that. Something that's also universal, regardless of men.
And the term I was trying to figure out is who's the prize. The prize is the man and woman who come together and they win. They're both the prize at that point. You're not the prize until you find that person. That's just one way of looking at it. That's what I was trying to figure out. What's the term I was trying to find? The term I was trying to find is who's the prize. And that's it. My bad. Here we go.
In culture, nationality, and so on, is that, regardless of some of the problems that may have always existed and some of the unique problems that exist in our modern, strange time, the vast majority of people do want to get married, and the vast majority of people do want to have children and families. So I don't know if you consider yourself someone who gives advice per se. But if you're interacting with online or offline, say a young man in this situation, let's say a young American man, because you've been in that position, who's like, look, I get some of these issues. I agree with you that, modern dating is crazy and these dating apps kind of suck and they're not so good for men and there's all this weird toxic feminism going on and blah blah blah. Like I recognize all that, but hey, like ultimately, like I want to have a good woman and I want to, I want to have offspring. I want to raise a family. Because given that is most people, what do you, I don't know if the right question is what would you recommend or what would you advise, but what are your thoughts on someone who's in that position? Let's say yourself back when you were 20 years old even, or maybe even in your 30s when you're just kind of in that position and it's like, hey, like I want to do the normal thing. I want to do what my parents did, what my grandparents did, what my ancestors did. What would be your words of guidance or advice for them, given your own personal experiences and just all the things that you see?
Well, I have a hot button on my sound bar that I play quite often. It's from the movie Bone Tomahawk. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I'll press it here.
Smart men don't get married.
Smart men don't get married. Right now, with the way the laws that are very punitive against men, women can go in and say, hey, he did something bad to me, even though there's no evidence, and he can lose custody. He can, he has to pay alimony. He can lose access to his children. In some areas, there's still, husband has to pay an ex-wife for X amount of years, depending on how much money he made. And look at the case of Dave Foley when he was being interviewed by Joe Rogan. This is a guy that was he did he did a sitcom, news radio, and at the time he was making great money. When he got divorced, he was expected to pay that same money over the rest of his children's lives, even though he became unemployed. He was still expected to pay several $100,000 a month in child support. Well, because of it, he can never go back to Canada. He had to flee. So when things are so punishing on men, it's here, at least in the West. And when I speak of the West, maybe things are slightly different in England or Australia, Germany, whatever. But my usual explanation would be go east, young man. Go to Southeast Asia. Whether it's now, I'm going to have a lot of people say that won't work either. I get that. But in a world the way it is now, you have to start looking for like a conservative place like Poland. And right now the Poland men are screaming, it's no different here. Or you go to Southeast Asia. Because when I do these videos and I say, well, here's where you might have a chance, I get a lot of guys in those countries saying, nope, it's no different here. But as an American, what I experienced in Southeast Asia was pretty good. Now, maybe that's the color of my skin. Maybe it's the money I made. Who knows? I don't know. But I would say go to Southeast Asia, at least if you get to rural areas of Southeast Asia, whether it's Vietnam or Cambodia or Thailand or maybe the Philippines, things like that, and you stay there because the laws there are not so anti-man when it comes to divorce. I mean, in the Philippines, I think divorce is much, much different. I don't even know what the laws are like.
It's pretty much illegal. It's very
right.
It's very hard to come by there.
Now, that doesn't mean she turns into an absolute monster that you wish you could divorce, but the point is, in the West, it has become almost popular to hate men. I'm not talking about all women, all things, but if you spend time online, and if you listen to many of the articles that are written at the New York Post or the New York Times or whatever, there is that vein of, the patriarchy and men do this and white men do that. And I don't want to overblow it. Like if you turn off your computer, it is not in your life unless you're in a major city. It's not in your life. You touch grass. I would not even know about it if I didn't turn on my computer. So it's not pervasive in everything in the world today. But if you spend any amount of time online, you can get inundated, and it does give you, a worldview that everybody is anti-man. But when you do look at the court systems and you do look at dating apps and dating statistics, and you do look at women on social media, on TikTok and these other things, it's very quickly to feel anti-man. And so because of the laws specifically and the other things that lead up to it, guys just say, it's kind of a bad deal to get married and have children here in the West. So maybe that means you look at South America. Maybe that means you look at Southeast Asia. Maybe it means you look at other places where men are still respected.
There it is.
Men, not the government, You know, government doesn't have a lot of handouts in Thailand. You know, you're not going to be able to have 7 kids and Thailand, the Thai are paying you crap ton of money so you can just be a full-time stay-at-home mom. They don't have the government backing. So you need men to provide the finances, the money, and other things. So me personally, I guess I'd say if you really wanted a wife and kids, go find a place that the government can't support women, that women need a man to support women. And then go there, find that right woman, vet them the way you would, make sure you have all the other things in common you want, marry them, and then stay there. Because
And that's the part right there that I wanted you guys to hear. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. Now, can you do that in America? You can find a woman, a good woman. You know, you can vet her, and, you know, and if she is into you and you're the guy she wants, you're it. You will know by the way she treats you. But the problem is, if you get married and for whatever reason something happens and it does not work, I mean, you're in real trouble if you're the one that has. Now, you find that woman and, you know, she has a lot. You get married, now you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. If she decides to leave you, fine. She's going to treat you really nice because she doesn't want you to rake her over the coals in divorce court. So you see why so many people, so many men especially, will tell you, don't get married in America. It's not worth it. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. Work on yourself and then go somewhere, find a place where men are appreciated and needed. You find a place where men are needed and the government is no substitute for men. They don't get involved in that sort of thing. They're not going to take money from one person, give it to the other. They're not going to provide security. They're not going to do all the things that happens here in the West. And you might have a good shot, right? You might have a good shot of finding what you want. And then, so, I mean, shout out to them. That was, it's way more video. If you guys want to watch the whole thing, the video is linked below. I suggest you watch the whole thing. It was a very good conversation. You know, like Zuby had some really good points and Joker was spot on. So there are guys out there that are like, well, look, man, I hear you saying, but man, I got me a woman, bro, and it's working out just fine. And she's Western and I'm Western and she's a modern woman. And, you know, she believes in some feminist ideals and, you know what I mean, all this kind of stuff. And, you know, the secret is this. It's really basic, man. These are older dudes that tend to say this. Happy wife, happy life. I've heard that over and over again, especially down here in Florida. Happy wife, happy life. And I look at those guys and I'm like, bro, she's holding a gun to your head. You better keep her happy because if you don't, she's going to take you to court. She's going to take half your stuff. And the dudes that are telling me this, these are dudes of means. These are guys who have businesses and stuff like that. They're doing their own thing. I'm like, hey, bro, she got a gun to your head. It's just like, what are you talking about? She's got a gun to your head. Simple as that. Oh, let me talk to my daughter real quick. And my daughter slid out. I guess she told me I'm using my phone up here. I didn't see the text. She sent me a message saying she was going out. I just heard her coming back. I'm like, what the hell is that? But that happy wife, happy life stuff. And a lot of guys, when they do, if it does go sideways and they do get divorced, like Joker, he got divorced twice. Right. And it's like, what happened? Like, bro, I can't figure it out. It must have been me. I did something wrong. I couldn't keep her happy. Couldn't keep her happy. Right. So Rich Cooper has a video about that. And this is something that, man, oh man, and this is a quick video, man. It's about almost 8 minutes. We're gonna watch this and we're gonna end on this. Bro, if you're not listening to Rich Cooper, you need to be. If you're a young dude out here trying to figure it out, or if you're an old head out here trying to figure it out, if you're not listening to Rich Cooper, you need to be. If you haven't bought his book, right? Unplugged Alpha. Where is it? Right back there. If you haven't bought his book, Unplugged Alpha, you need to buy it. It's on Amazon. Read his book. It's a quick read. It's a very quick read. Very comprehensive, very no nonsense, man, straight to the point. You need to read it. Do yourself a favor. You're only hurting yourself by not reading this book. You're only hurting yourself by not watching Entrepreneurs in Cars. Hey, watch the Rich Cooper clips. Right. So this is, you know, this video is titled "Why Most Men Can't Keep Women Happy." Right. So let's check this out.
All right, what's up, my brothers? In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about why the vast majority of men will never, ever make a woman happy, despite their efforts, how the unplugged guys out there have figured this out and know how to make a woman happy. And we're going to start by talking about Robert Briffault, more specifically Briffault's Law. If you're unfamiliar, Robert Briffault was a French anthropologist, and he spent a good deal of his career studying the dynamics between male and females in the animal species. And I'm going to read this quote unquote for you. And what he concluded is that the female, not the male, determines all the conditions of the animal family. Where the female can derive no benefit from association with the male, no such association takes place. Now, for a long time, people have debated over the years whether or not this applies to humans. Can it apply to humans? Whether or not it should or shouldn't. I'm going to skip all of that because I've talked to thousands of guys now, and I do believe that this does apply to the human condition in the dynamics between males and females. So this is a feature, not a bug. So let's talk about that first. If Briffault's Law did not exist, the female would not have a strong chance of survival. Generally speaking, I mean, today it doesn't really matter so much because we have women in the workforce making their own money, paying taxes and all sort of stuff. But 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, if a female had chosen the wrong mate, made a bad choice, she could be on the hook with a guy that is unable to provide, preside, and look after the family. To sort of distill it and dumb it down into very simple terms, the things that you've done for her in the past, and this is where guys get really frustrated, the things that you've done for her in the past do not carry any weight into the future. So the house that you bought in the neighborhood that she wanted, the renovation that you did on the master bathroom or the kitchen, the in-law suite that you for your mother-in-law to move into in the past has no bearing on the future. The mistake that a lot of guys make is they'll sit there and they'll go, well, you know, I did this, that, and the other thing for you over the last several years. Why am I not getting acknowledged for the efforts that I've made into this relationship? And then they get upset or they get bent out of shape for it. And
I tell you this, right? Because I'm an old head, I'm a Gen Xer. What he's talking about, Janet Jackson made a song about this back in the 80s. When it comes to women and you doing things for women, bro, a lot of women, not all, but a lot of women will simply say this: what have you done for me lately? It's like, yo, I bought you this house. I redid the house, put in a new bathroom, put in a new kitchen. I bought you a G-Wagon, right? Okay, that was cool, but what have you done for me lately? If you're dealing with a woman who's dealing with you because she wants things that you can provide her, as opposed to a woman who's with you because she loves you, if you're with a woman who loves you, she'll be with you in the gutter when y'all both homeless. In the gutter, right there next to you, still working and still being with you, happy to be around you. I know it's an extreme example, but you need a woman who's going to be with you when you down. Anybody and everybody can be with you when you up. And if you got a woman that, you know, she's with you because y'all up, and she's going to continue to want stuff. I want to take another trip. I want another bag. I want to go on another, I want another car, right? I want another Kelly bag or a Birkin bag. I want. It never ends. But if she's with you because she just wants you, she's happy when you're home. She's going to curl up next to you and just want to be next to you. She's going to watch football and put on jerseys and paint her face because that's what she knows you like. She can't stand football. Probably didn't know how it works, but she's just happy because she's with you. This is why you got to vet women, and this is what you're looking for, gentlemen. Don't get caught up dealing with some woman because she's got a big butt and a smile, and you get her, and you think you're going to be able to keep her happy, because if you don't make her happy, nothing really will. You're going to have to continue to fill that void.
as Robert Briffault stated, women are only around so long as they can derive benefit from you in the future. Any past benefit that they've enjoyed is not considered or contemplated into the future, if we can put it that way, right? So all those things that you've done for her, doesn't matter. She needs to continue to receive benefit from you to continue to want to stay in that relationship. Now, this is where most guys will get really pissed off and just be like, see, she's all about your money, or if you're not paying for her or stamping things yes all the time, she's not going to want to stick around and she's going to bounce and move with the other guy. Not so fast. Yes, there's a little bit of truth to that. So let's deal with that first. That's where most guys end up making the vast majority of mistakes that they make in long-term relationships, is they think that if they just do everything that she wants, it's like yes dear. They can basically give her a stamp and she says, I want stamp yes. I want yes, 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 yes. And they stamp everything yes, and they think that, you know, by stamping everything yes and giving her what she wants, they're going to get what they want out of the relationship, which
I just want to pause it right there, because There are guys out there who will use their wallet, they will use their influence, they will use their wealth to try to win over a woman. Yeah, those guys, and those are the ones who are probably complaining, right? Because they love this woman. But a lot of guys will do that rubber stamp, yes, 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 yes. They're not doing it because they're trying to keep her. They're doing it because they absolutely love her. Remember, I keep telling you guys, man, men and women love different. You have to protect your emotions at all costs, because if you allow yourself to fall in love with the wrong woman, you fall for the wrong woman, you attach to the wrong woman, bro, and she don't feel the same way about you, you're going to wind up in this situation that Rich is talking about. That yes, 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 yes thing, a lot of those guys just love her and they want to give her everything she wants because they love her. They want her to be happy, and she doesn't seem to be happy unless he's coming up and surprising her with the rose petals that lead up to the bedroom with all the gifts and stuff in the hot bath or whatever, or you got to get the, surprise gift and open up the big box outside as a new car, or surprise her with some trip somewhere, some romantic scavenger hunt or something. Like, you got to keep doing these things, right? If she's not into you, it doesn't matter if you keep doing these things. And the guys are doing it because they are into her. They love her, right? Remember what Orion Taraban said, man, the adorer and the adored. Like, all this stuff plays in, bro. All of it. She has to be into you more than you are into her. Myron says this stuff, man. I know a lot of people don't like what Myron Gaines has to say, but when it comes to this, he's spot on. You need to be the guy who can walk away, and she needs to know that. Like, I can leave this situation. And if you are the guy that can walk away and she knows it, you're going to hold that upper hand. You hold the high ground. Simple as that. And she will just be happy to be with you. You could take her to Burger King, man. She's gonna be happy as hell. Give me some Cinny Minis, baby. You know I love the Cinny Minis. She's gonna love to go to Burger King, but she'll be just as comfortable and just as happy if you take her to Sexy French. Right? So, because it's about you, not the experience, not the stuff that you're buying. She loves you. And if she doesn't love you like that, you got a problem.
It rarely happens. For some guys, it might, but for the vast majority of guys out there, you can't buy your way into her heart by continuing to say yes and buying things that she asks for or demands or wants for her or the family or the kids or any of those things. You actually have to have a backbone when it comes to a long-term relationship or a marriage, and put yourself in a position where you can say no. Now, of course, all of this boils down to attractiveness and value for the guy. This is where guys can win. This is where guys can level up. If you want to do well in a long-term relationship, if you want her to be quote unquote happy with you into the future, because the whole point of this video really is why most guys don't make women happy. It's because they think that if they just stamp everything yes and give her what she wants, then she'll be happy in a perpetuity. That's not how it works. That's one element of it. You have to be her hypergamous best option, which is not always easy to do for most guys. What does that mean? She has to be able to look at you guys every morning and think to herself, damn, I did well. I got the best that I can get. This guy is the shit, if you know what I'm saying. She basically looks at you like a giant. She is with the best that she can get. This is why, guys, I keep telling you, and I'm going to keep banging on this drum for you, you never, ever, ever want to deal with a chick on a long-term basis that settles for you. If you're not her first choice, if it's obvious to you that she's chosen somebody else, you are wasting your time making a long-term commitment to her, because you're going to end up like one of those guys that gets absolutely ticked off when he learns that he's just an ATM for her, and everything that he does doesn't create any level of happiness or a smile on her face. That's the situation that most guys get themselves into, which is not where most guys want to be. They want to be
and man, he's not lying. I can't tell you how many times I've been out in them trenches, right? And you'll see a couple, right? And the guy's doing everything he can, bro. Everything he can. He's like that dancing monkey that's on a leash, and then, with the holding the cup and collecting the money as the girl is playing the music. He's out there dancing, collecting the money and giving it to her, right? And she can care less about that dude. I can't tell you how many times I've seen women who are in a relationship with a guy leave with another dude, or approach another dude, start talking to another dude. I was just hollering one of my dudes in Dallas just the other day. Shout out to Lincoln, man. I see you out there, fam. And he was telling me, like, yeah, man, and Lincoln's a young guy, is doing very well, very social, knows what he's doing, knows how to holler at women, the whole nine. He's in a spot, chilling, doing his thing. Lincoln knows everyone, so he has social proof. They got him posted up somewhere nice, exclusive area. This woman comes walking up to him, starts hollering at him for real. And he's like, okay. He tells her to have a seat. They having the conversation. They're going back and forth. He's like, all right, this is going pretty good. You know, fast forward 20 minutes, 25 minutes later, her boyfriend, long-term boyfriend, the dude she's in there with, walks up. Hey, girl, you ready to go? Yeah, I think I want to go. I'm bored. She left him at his table to come over and holler at my dude. Right? And no shame in it. And the guy, both couldn't even put two and two together. Lincoln's looking like, yo, this your woman? Like, yo, you know she over here trying to holler at me. Oh, man, it ain't like that, blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay. Okay, because Lincoln is looking at this like, bro, I don't want to deal with the situation or whatever. You know, little Lincoln, he nice with the hands. He could have handled himself. But he was just like, I'm just letting you know, man, I didn't stop her. She came over here trying to tell dude like, yo, she came over here. It's like the guy knew it. It's like the guy knew it. So that relationship is not going to work no matter what that guy does. She is always going to go out looking for what she really wants. And if you're just the guy who was good enough, you're going to always have these problems. Like even Mandrell agrees, bro. He's like, bro, she needs to be more into you than you are into her. That's a fact.
Adored by their woman. They want to be respected by their woman. They want to, you know, when they initiate intimacy, it's reciprocated and with enthusiasm. This is where guys go wrong. So gentlemen, understand this. Most of your problems with long-term relationships, they boil down to attractiveness and your value. If you're not valuable and you're not attractive, she'll never be content or happy with you over the long term. Make sure you're not carrying extra belly fat. You're not fat. You're not incompetent. You're resourceful. You know how to solve problems. And of course, you're handsome. You know, you have a style. You have a look. You've done something to level yourself up so that you're not an unattractive, lazy, kind of unappealing slob-like character for women, because they don't like that. They just don't. Women want to be with guys that other women want to be with. And if you don't have the pre-selection of other women, it's very unlikely that she's going to be happy with you in a perpetuity if you're not that guy. So you can't buy your way into her heart. You know, the whole beta bucks thing where it's like, she wants this done, yes. She wants that done, yes. You want this done, yes. And then after about a dozen or two or 12 dozen of these, the guy comes to the realization, I've done all of these things for you, Becky, and you're still pissed off at me. And it doesn't matter what I do, you're never happy. And she's basically sitting there nodding her head going, yeah. Kind of, because she didn't pick her best option. She just picked you because you're an ATM. She just picked you because you say yes to everything. She just picked you because you're her second choice or her fifth choice or whatever it happens to be. So guys, choose better. Increase your value.
He's dropping dimes, man. Choose better. Hey, remember when I said the person who's willing to walk away from the relationship is the person with the leverage? In the situation that the brother Rich is talking about right here, the woman is willing to walk away. Guys like, oh, you this and then you won't do that and you're never happy. And she's like, yep. I can walk away. I can walk away right now if you want. She can care less. And if y'all been married and you got bread, she's like, I'm gonna walk away and I'm taking half your stuff with me. So guys, you definitely have to choose better. First of all. Secondly, you have to vet. Make sure you're vetting these women properly, bro. Make sure you vet properly. Because if you don't, this is only going to hurt you. Right? And there's no getting around it, man. Control your emotions. A lot of these dudes, they don't control their emotions. They let their emotions out too soon. They attach to a woman who's just not into them like that, but they're cool because it's like he has a nice house, nice cars. He provides nice experiences. He gives me money. And like I said, that part he said about intimacy, it has to be enthusiastic. If you got a woman who's just giving you that lazy starfish just laying there intimacy, bro, she ain't really about it. It's like she really don't want you in that Foxy Brown. That's part of it, man. And the guy just happy he's getting something. And it's just horrible. It's nothing. I be talking to dudes about, you know, like they're like, man, how do you know, like doing stuff? I mean, oh man, we be doing this, that, and the third. I've done this before. I did this, that. They're like, what? And it's like, yeah, it's fun. We're having a good time chasing each other around the house. You know what I mean? Just buck booty ass nigga chasing each other around the house, having fun, doing all kind of stuff. You know, and they're like, oh man, I could barely even get her to do something. She's always coming up with excuses or her head hurts and isn't it? Like, man, she ain't into you, homie. She ain't into me. She ain't into you. Right? If she's really into you, bro, she'll be trying to pull your thing out while there's people in the living room right next to you guys. She'll be trying to do something in public. She'll be trying to climb on top of you in the car in the parking lot. She don't care. She'll be wearing dresses with nothing underneath. looking for an excuse, like grab you, telling you like, I want it now, give it to me, daddy. That most dudes ain't never experienced that, bro. If you're not experiencing that, man, that's the thing, bro. That's what they call them, red flags. That's something you got to check. If it's a chore for her to want to sleep with you, that's a big old red flag, bro.
Value. You're the one that's in charge of managing relationships, not her. You're the one that's in charge of leading the relationships, not her. You are the gatekeeper to the relationship. That's the way that you should be acting, not letting her gatekeep. Women gatekeep intimacy. Men gatekeep the relationship. You're the one that decides when the relationship's going to occur. Like Robert Berfault says, women decide if it's going to continue, right? If she doesn't derive benefit, is she going to continue? And if she's not deriving benefit, she's going to find some way out of it. Benefit, by the way, it's not just money. Benefit can also be your presence, because you're handsome, because you're attractive, because you're valuable. The most successful guys that I know in long-term relationships say no, and they say no often. You know, I want this, no. I want to do this, no. We have to take this vacation here. We have to spend this money on the kids on that. No, no, no. And it's like, when you get comfortable and familiar with the notion of saying no to things, now you're ahead. Now you're in a position of some authority and leadership. So guys, take this to heart. What's your experience been? Comment below. Also, pinned in the top comment, there's a link to a bunch of useful stuff, including my book, but more specifically, the School of Unplugging. You're going to want to check this out, because this is where guys are getting the most value. It's a community where guys are able to level up and then double down on their life. There's over 50 hours there of premium content that helps them understand how the world really works, not the way we hope that it works, how guys are getting better results with their health, with their wealth, and especially with women. And there's a community with weekly Zoom calls with me, managing a lot of the calls along with my team of experts. You guys check that out. We'll see you in the next video. Comment below.
Definitely check that out, bro. Make sure y'all get out. Make sure y'all get out a shot, man, because Rich knows what he's talking about, man. I've had conversations with the brother, man. He's a good dude, man, and he's doing this to help others, bro. And it's not just helping men; he's helping women. If he can help men become top tier guys or even high value men, if he can help them do that, now they're seen by women. Women want nothing more than viable men, right? That's what they want. Shout out to Professor Scott Galloway. No one is craving men. No one want men to get it together more than women, especially in America. And if you're working with someone like Rich Cooper, his School of Unplugging, working with his community and his group, you're gonna get better. You know what I mean? Or there's some dudes in there who are like a little too hardcore and they're bitter and they're hurting and all that because, you know, they didn't know this before and they got their faces cracked. Yeah, I'm sure there are. But there are also dudes in there who have been doing this from day one and they know what time it is and they ain't gonna get you squared away. Quit crying about it didn't work. Quit calling her 304. Ain't about her right now. It's about you, homie. Because if you was a real one, she'd still be with you. Right? She left you for a reason. And it's your fault. That's what you need. A lot of these dudes need that. I have guys hitting me up and I'm like, yeah, bro. The communities and all that, man, like we can text back and forth and you can watch these videos and we can, you know, I'm gonna start a Patreon and all that one day. But my thing is, man, we got to get outside in these trenches. We got to go out here on patrol. Like if you really want to know what it's like to get on with these girls and you want me to help you get better, I got to see you in action. Let's get out here, bro. Let me see what you're doing. We're going out here, bro. We're alert unit, man. We're going on a long range patrol. We're going to do some recon and we're going to come back and I'm going to tell you what you're doing wrong. I'm going to tell you where you could have done better. I'm going to tell you where you did well. Like, all right, you did good right here. Right? We're going to talk about your fashion. We're going to talk about your smell good game and get the right cologne. We're going to show you that you don't need to spend a bunch of money on designer clothes. Clothes don't make you, man. You make the outfit. You make the clothes. Right? We're going to talk to you about your hygiene and your grooming. We're going to talk about all that. And we're going to get out here and you're going to get to see like, man, you know, we go out somewhere that neither one of us ever been. Right? We're strangers and you'll see that, oh man, you coming up, you got these women like, damn, and you'll be able to do it too. It's not like I'm telling you stuff that I don't know how it works. Like, it's not like I don't have Rich Cooper's book and I'm going through the chapters and just kind of, we're just doing what Rich Cooper said. Nah, I'm going out here. I'm with you. I'm showing you what time it is, bro. I'm showing you how to talk to women. I'm showing you how to break the ice. I'm showing you how to get your social proof up. I'm showing you how to get to know the owners, the managers, the promoters, the bartenders. I'm showing you how to pick out who are the people that you need to click up with to move within this social group. That's the kind of stuff that we're doing. It's like, yeah. See, bro, you should have been taller right there, dog. And that's another thing too, man. Height ain't really a big thing. It helps. Money ain't a real big thing, but it helps. Right? It's the total package, bro. It's everything. It's not just these one little isolated things. It's all of it together, bro. And yeah, and next time we talk, bro, I'm gonna talk about high value men versus top tier dudes. Because you guys know I use top tier as well as high value. Medium Man did a video talking about a female dating coach, and we're gonna react to that video probably tomorrow, so we can talk about top tier guys versus high value guys. There's a difference, and I want to share that with you guys. And then I'm supposed to come back in an hour. I'm gonna do a show here in an hour, bro. I want to talk about the latest on the Kirk shooting thing. Give me a second. Hold on. I'm looking for something here. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do that. I was gonna push this to tomorrow, but no, you will do it. It's the title of the videos looks like he just snapped. This is the Kirk shooter. It'll be a quick one. We'll do it tonight. There's video out there that goes over the text messages between the Charlie Kirk shooter and his friends and what's going on there. I'll talk about that tonight. And there you go. Cody's right. What does make a difference is how tall you stand, not necessarily how tall your height is. That's a fact. And what's Cody talking about, man? He's talking about confidence. That's the number one end all to be all, bro. Confidence. Women are drawn to confidence, man, like moth to a flame, bro. If you're a confident dude, it's real confidence. It's not fake confidence. They can tell the difference. I'm telling you, man, you ain't gonna have no problems. You'll be able to find that woman is into you. It will happen. It will happen. But we're gonna end it there. I appreciate y'all rocking out with me, man. This was a good conversation. We had fun. Got to share a little bit of my Hollywood stories, man. I'm telling you, I got plenty of stories. Hollywood was an adventure, bro. I saw so much. I had a chance to do so much. It opened my eyes to so much. It's crazy what's going on out there. But yeah, and now you guys kind of got a better idea why these Hollywood relationships don't seem to work, bro. It's like Cody. No, it's like who said what they said about professional liars? I think it was Cody that said that, or maybe it was Brother Penny. I forget in the chat, but bro, telling you, all these things come into play when you help you find the woman you want. And Joker is correct. All things being equal, if you get to choose where you go to find your significant other, to find your woman, I would definitely go someplace where men are valued and needed. He ain't lying about that. Go to the Philippines, go to Thailand, go to South America, go to Central America, go to Eastern Europe, wherever you need to go to find that place where, the Middle East, even though I'm not a fan of the Middle East, you can go there. Any place you can go to find that place where men are valued, men are honored, men are wanted and needed. You're gonna be better. And then if you can find a place that understand what their laws are, again, this is all part of the game. Find a place where you can't be drugged into court and have your stuff be taken away from you by the state and given to somebody else. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Did I go to Cheek Split Creek deal? He was like, it was me. Cody said it was me. I don't know what that is, bro. You got the Harvey special. Nah, man, not me. I was never an actor. Besides, Harvey was in the females. But there are tons of producers out there, and gatekeepers out there, Hollywood cool kids dudes who are into dudes. So, nah, man, not me, not me. And we're going to leave it there. I'm done. I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. I'll be back in about 50 minutes or so. Hopefully I'll see you then. If not, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate you, man. I'm Don Luz. I'm D.L. Saint. This is I Really Want to Know podcast, man. I'ma holler at y'all later. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.